OOTD, this my fashion. Shut up, no more questions. OOTD, this my fashion. Ready, action. Don't you wanna feel it coming right? Look at the champagne, look at my necklace, wearing my black dress. Cruising my rollie, cash in the backseat. We call it so sweet, so sweet. Autumn, got 'em away. Now your red carpet, I'm not love. It's your awesome girl looking for my life. Driving on hot way, drunk on every day. But do you feel like a monster? 내 입을 꽃이 터져 so high. I'm Venus, Nevis, call me a goddess. Touching lights on nothing. I'm always doing better. Shall we start this thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. OOTD, this my fashion. Shut up, no more questions. OOTD, this my fashion. Ready, action. Don't you wanna feel it coming right? Take a champagne, look at my necklace, wearing my black dress. Cruising my rollie, kissing the backseat. We call it so sweet, so sweet. Yeah! Celebrate 우리의 축제. Elevate보다는 높게. Visualize 나를 더 표현해. Hypnotize 좀 더 어지럽게. Popping the champagne, look at my necklace, wearing my black dress. Cruising my rollie, kissing the backseat.
Hi, Miss Winnie. Hi. I'm here, as promised, a minute earlier. A minute early. I'm freezing cold, but that's okay. Mood change. I like nothing. Hello. Honestly, I feel like I never do this because every time I come on here, I'm like, what do I say again? Today is January, Saturday the 13th. We are playing. Oh, the music's too loud. My music, yeah, I realize. I finally put my headphones on. And I noticed that the music was too loud. I didn't really monitor it before. I just kind of turned it on and like went to the bathroom and threw away my garbage because I like stuffed some like chips in my face. But hello, it is January, Saturday the 13th. We're Genshining today. I had to up my volume to make sure you were speaking. Oh, stop. What's a little mishap here and there if there's no little mishap here and there, if you know what I mean. We're Genshining today. It's exciting. I'm mostly going to try to do like thingies to get primos. Get my snickerdoodles. Is that a cute name? Let's go. Right? You're waiting for me to play Genshin. The sad thing was like I was when I was like logging on, I was praying that there wasn't an update. And then it'll just like do like, you know, like the verifying files stuff and everything are live right now and will be doing some in honor of the girlies who want us to play it so badly. Stop by and let me steal. What's the ETA? You know, I didn't know what ETA meant before this song. What's your estimated time of arrival? I'm ever hanging out with someone and I want to know when they're gonna arrive, just gonna send them that song. Okay, I'm gonna turn this down a bit. We're gonna be playing a bit. We're gonna do a quick Wordle. It's okay, I had to Google what it meant when someone asked me that. What was your ET? Oh damn. Miss Rainey, you and I are like, it's because we're too old for this generation. Like the Gen Z and the Gen X and the Gen like 45s and whatever. Chippy, oh my gosh, hi Chippy. Hello, how are you? Your old grandma? Oh, shut up. If I'm a grandma, you're my child. But then no, I normally call you mom. So then you're a great grandma. You're older than I am. How are you doing, Cube? Right? Wow. Well, hello to you too, Cube. Hola, how are you, Chippy? How are you, Cube? I'm doing good. Am I? Yeah, you're great grandma. It's not Steam. I'm doing good. That's good. What about you guys? I'm alright. I just came home from work, so I'm like pretty cold. And I haven't eaten much, so I'm excited to go eat afterwards. I'm not that old, come on now. But if I'm grandma and I call you mother, then you're great grandma. Meaning you're even older. Doing good, just got Navia to 90. Really? You know, I kind of just want to play Genshin. I'll do this off stream. Cost everything I have per. Y'all, it must be it must be nice. Ray lost her 50-50. Poor Miss Rainey. And you decided to stream? What's wrong with streaming? You know, if I've eaten before stream, then it's not me. Wrong email. It's okay, Miss Rainey. If I haven't eaten, like, the way to know it's me, just be like, have you eaten before this? And if I say yes, it's not me. If I say no, then it's me. I'm surviving off of a bagel, an apple, a cup of tea, and like a handful of chips. I'm surviving. I lost it to Jean. It's okay, Miss Rainey. We'll save up your primos to get the next character. Who is it? Ito? Whenever he comes out. Then we shouldn't be having normal Kozu. What do you mean? Because I haven't eaten? I'm still normal. Properties. Where are the filters? Filters. Oh, is it gain too hot? What is it that makes you hear everything outside of the thing? Is it the gain? Or is it a noise? Not a noise suppression. I can't change that. That's it. Put it to 2. Can you hear that? Oh shit. Oh, you can only hear it when I'm talking. That makes sense. I talk a lot. Can you hear like this when I'm talking? Testing. Oh, you can. I'll fix that off stream. You're not normal, buddy. What do you mean I'm not normal? Girl, you decided to just come in here and bully me? You see this blasphemy? I try to be nice to Cube. I try to be friends, but I just get bullied. I say 50 already. 50 wishes? Hey. We stand Miss Rainy. Okay, this is our temple, guys. You get to see me. You get to watch it. Don't spoil it. Okay. I tried so hard not to try and pull. Wait. Just don't look. Stop looking at your thing. Stream elements. Yeah, that's my job. To bully me? Stressed? Oh my gosh, it wasn't a 5-star, was it? You're nice to me? I'm nice to you all the time, Cube. What do you mean? I'm the nicest out there to you. Wait, I don't have Kujosara. Okay, that's actually good. I feel rich somehow. There you are. If you have a lot of like wishes for that banner, then you're definitely rich in some people's eyes. You're rich in my eyes. Wait, what? Huh? Cause they're streaming? Well, time to go watch it. Shit, really? Is cause they're streaming? Oh shit, I hit my mic. Guys, come on, let's go watch Kozu's stream. Shit, you said she's... I didn't know she was streaming. My bad, G. Let's go do these. We'll get us some 40 primos. Definitely not jealous of that Sara. You don't have Kujosara, Chippy? I'm beating. Okay, I can't listen to it. If anything fucks up with the audio, let me know. I can't listen to it anymore. Honestly, I didn't have her for the longest time, and I wanted to get her just because I wanted like all the 4-stars. She's really cool though. You make my heart go doki doki. Shit, for real? Miss Rainy, I'm a married woman. You can't be hitting on me like that. What you saying, girl? I want her constellation. Oh, how many do you have right now? You know, I was debating between playing Genshin or Star Rail. Genshin for the girlies who like Genshin, and Star Rail for the girlies who like Star Rail. What if I did both? Like Genshin for the first hour and then Star Rail for the second hour? Why are you staring at me like that? Pause, champ? Why are we pausing? What did I say? Are we planning, Kev? You know who I should get their constellations for? Hu Tao. Did Hu Tao have a banner? Chippy, has Hu Tao have a banner recently? What if I just stayed quiet this entire stream? You guys just want like a silent stream and then just the game in the background and the music? She did. I missed it. No. How long ago was it? Do you have Hu Tao, Chippy? I need... How'd you Hu Tao? The same as before? Details. She's 85, almost 90. I heard people say don't 90 her, and I just didn't have the... I have an account with Hu Tao. Oh, did you build her? Yeah, I didn't have the materials to 90 her, so I left her there. Is this her weapon? Because I don't know any better weapon. Also don't have one. I got full artifact set. Is this the artifact details? She doesn't have healing. Her ult has healing though. Oops. And then this is the single ones. We're gonna not my main per. This is her artifacts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 per. I'm trying to ascend Kaya. We're trying to help Miss Rainy ascend Kaya. Artifacts look different from I remember. I'm pretty sure I changed up her artifacts. I was able to get a full 4 set, or at least a more decent 4 set, and then this one. Her constellation, she still won. Did you actually farm? For what? Like her artifact, like the artifacts? And this is her thingies. I should level these up. I forget about talents. But I'm lazy. Miss Rainey, at this point, you should just give me your account and I'll do it for you. I'll farm for you. Yeah, I actually did farm for her artifacts. To get like decent like I would say decent in my eyes. These are all this in speculation of my eyes. But like I farmed a lot for this one to get pyro damage bonus. I'm pretty sure I did a lot of her domain though. My luck on artifacts is just not good. I just made him level 80. Yes to what, Chippy? It's better than before. Like Kaya's build? Is it because oh no this one. Is it because of the new artifacts you put on him? I sold my kidneys for Navia artifacts. Your kidneys? Why you sell your kidneys? Don't you need them? Yeah, because you have a purr. We love helping the girlies farm. We gotta farm some more. Because Lloyd knows you're not gonna do them by no, you're not gonna do them by yourself. So one day we're gonna go farming again for some more. No, I'll be fine. Are you sure about that? Oh, Wanderer's dead. Because next thing you know, you're gonna come up in the stream and be like, guys, so I'm in the hospital. Or it's like, oh my gosh, why? Are you okay? It's like, yeah, because my kidneys, it turns out not having kidneys is kind of bad. That'd be fine. Honestly, I still meant for Ito. Y'all are brave for that. I would never. Oh no, my toes. Oh, y'all will never catch me doing that. No, ma'am. Maybe for Wireth Sea, but even so, I could survive without Wireth Sea. Like you wouldn't for Hu Tao. No. Reasonable side of me wouldn't do it. I would only do it because Hu Tao's been like with me since like day one. Like the girlies who remember me streaming for 20 minutes to pull on Hu Tao's banner. She was my first like CVS 5-star. But not that I would only do it because she's been with me since like day one. But if I had to choose, I probably wouldn't do it for her. I'm not like die hard for her. I do love her character. Laugh. Do you remember that, Chippy? I don't know who was there. I remember I was like brushing my teeth waiting for the countdown, and when the countdown like finished, it was like when I had my old computer, like my tiny ass desk. Like when the countdown finished, I was like, oh my gosh, new banner. And then I started streaming. And then I did the post. I was like, okay guys, that's it for, I think it was like 23 minutes. It was less than 25, I know that. And then I just stopped streaming. And I went on with my day. Are we destroying it? Okay. See, like her regular hits, I couldn't tell you. Those probably could be better. What if... Oh, we work on building Hu Tao this stream. Don't touch me. Do you have... Oh, you have mushrooms? I ran out of resin just to get stuff for Kaya's Ascension. As you should. If you're not running out of resin and creating like condensed resin and stuff like that, are you really farming for your characters? This was far. Wait, are you actually doing domains by yourself, Ray? What's resin? Resin's for the domains, right? Where's the map? This one's resin, right? Okay, yeah, that's resin. You reckon we can make it over there with just these characters? The easy ones, yes, the easy ones. Honestly, I like doing the easy ones, but I feel like it's better to do the more difficult ones, because then if you do like the easy ones, you're not gonna get much better artifacts. Oh. You think if I let go of Dash, she'll come up? I can help when you please end this service. Chibi's like the god at Genshining. No, I'm not gonna make it. Hey, sir is just oh my gosh, you guys are becoming friends. Wow. I feel like I can make it. No. What's the farthest? Okay, here. I feel like dropping your UID feels like so personal sometimes. It's like dropping your your social insurance number or something. She's gonna make it this time. She's gonna make it this time. No, you're right there. Is the UID? Yes, ma'am. Yep. No. I feel like there's a lot of easier way I could have been there already. Ignore my Navia. I want to see your Navia. Oh. Oh, no. That's not the easier way. Your Navia's a slay. You know what? Where's Kaya? Oh my gosh, Miss Rainy, look! That's your BBG. Oh shit. Kaya. There we go. It's a lot of fast ice I get. Oh, is it a lot of fast ice? Magistrate. Ooh, Miss Rainy? Yeah, I've been accumulating flash stars for a bit. No, whoa. I don't know how many I have. I have to count them. No, I think Miss Rainy is Rainy. Isn't Miss Rainy Rainy go away? No. Maybe. I couldn't tell you. That was quick. For what? Where's Chippy? There's Chippy. We said Navia? Is this one Navia? This one? Her. She's one of the cool ones with the guns. Is she level 90? Per. Look at this slay. Constellations. Understandable talents. Wow. How her shoes look like? I like them. You got cute little bows on the back too. I like her getup. Her getup's cute. Tuna Temple. You're on my Rob list because of Alhaitham. And then Miss Rainy. Let's see what Miss Rainy has. Her character details hidden. Miss Rainy, unhide your character details. I want to see. Hello. How? How what? Oh, never. Oh, I think I did it. Let me check. Say goodbye to Kaya. Wait. No, they're still hidden. I couldn't tell you how to unhide them. I'm gonna be so honest with you. I did very well. Pay.
가슴은 아프고 둘째쯤 병을 봐주네. 가자.
Let's go to the main menu and rejoin. Oh, Miss Rainey or me? Emergency. Oh, this one? I like these ruin machines. Maybe we should go hunting for ruin machines. No! Oh. What if I put Kujo Sara on this team instead of like Fischl?
우성의 바람 복제.
It'll give it like another form of reactions, no?
일어나.
I click show character details thingy. Maybe then you would have to leave and go. Unless it's me who has to leave and go back in. Oh, here it is. Slay. 80 out of 80 per. Base is 70. Nice. Cute artifacts. Slay. Constellations. Talents. Look at you. 555. That's my angel number. Jean. 444. It's also another cute angel number. Artifacts. Good set of artifacts. My other artifacts are shit for like your other characters. It's okay. We'll build them up one day. Let's see what artifacts. Attack, elemental mastery, HP. I see. I was gonna say you should focus on. Isn't focusing on HP the good for shield characters? Pyro damage bonus. I feel like there's one that you can get a healing bonus on. Although I'm not too sure which artifact it is. I know one of them allows you to do healing bonus if you want to focus here. Oh look, it's a squid. I want it. Got him. I feel like those are hard to get. I woke up at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. There should be a search button. Okay, we're gonna go see Miss Catherine. And then we're gonna maybe build up Hu Tao. I need a new team comp for Hu Tao. I feel like the one reason I don't like Hu Tao as much anymore is because I'm kind of bored of her team comp. But it's the only team comp that I know that like somewhat works. So I want to build her a new team comp. I might switch out Sucrose for Kujo Sara. So but I haven't played Kujo Sara yet. But it feels like I want a character that's like Fischl. Like you can just throw your stuff down and it does its thing. I don't know how easy that type of character would be fun. I kind of want to play Valorant. I'm not. What the hell? This is new. This looks so weird. I like the other ones where I'm just able to like click on it and like click again. Nope, don't recall. I kind of want to play Valorant. I think it might be an addiction at this point. Also because I want to like revert my world level back up because my world level is on 7. To make things easier. And that's just scaring my way out of world levels. Can I level these up? Oh, I had to fight Tartaglia. Should we try fighting Tartaglia? I don't know if I'm ready to fight him. He gives me PTSD nightmares. Because I remember recording my reaction to fighting him. Miss Rainey, why you crying? But I've never actually. Okay, we'll try fighting him. My feet are cold. I need to get my socks. I got need. I'm gonna use my fighting potions. I remember having a shit build. I did like Noelle. Who else did I have? I think I have Barbara. I used Kaya. I think I used Kaya as well. Oh. Miss, get down, please. Statue blessing. Do they all get revived? Slay. I don't know if this will get us to primos. We need to possibly get 90. Can I do these with people? Oh, slay. Easy domain, Chippy. You don't know how much I struggled to do this when I first played the game, and ever since, I have not touched this domain. Who should I play? Should I do Hu Tao? I can only do Hu Tao. This domain scares me. I haven't even ascended because I don't know if I have strong enemies yet. Honestly, Ray, same. Same. It's so easy. Well, that's because you have a good build, Chippy. I don't have a good build. I need a good team. Chippy, you need to help me learn how to build Hu Tao. I need a team for Hu Tao that lets her. Oh shit! No, no. Okay, I'm not the only one who's dead. And we need a team for Hu Tao to show her. So while you guys are watching that, we're gonna do Hu Tao team builds. And being held Hu Tao, Xingqiu, Xiangling, Bennett. Okay. And being helped at the moment, and I'm so glad. Aww. Chibi is like, Chibi's like he's like a lifeline whenever it comes to these games. Who's this one? Sub DPS? Yelan. I don't have a Yelan. I'm twerking on the runway. Chibi, I don't understand how you say this is easy. Three of us are dead. You know, I could have done a Yelan build. Who told Bennett? All of these have like the only one that. Oh, I have this one, Rosaria. Hotel Melt. I see. I'm carrying Defo. I would be surprised if Chippy wasn't carrying. Then I'll be like, Miss Rainey, were you holding out on us? Slay, go, Miss. Look at her go. Clean car. Isn't that three? Isn't that like 3 pyro characters though? How does that work? Oh, shocking! I Rainy go away carrying me. Honestly, I'm not surprised. She did the same thing to me too. Oh no! She died too! I'm definitely not surprised if Miss Rainey carried. I barely did anything. Did she like make you know in those TikToks where they're just like, watch me solo this character, and then they end up soloing the character. Did she do that? She did that same shit to me too. She's the biggest scammer because she don't tell you she do stuff, and then she be going there and kicking ass. She biggest scammer out there, I'm telling you. Let's play my love. Okay, really? Actually, need help too? JK. I mean, we can all definitely play. I went down to let me do this and then we can all play. Maybe I could use the artifacts that Miss Rainey's getting for an ice character. Hell yeah, yes sir. Oh. I feel like this would be good with like what's it, a bow character. He's kind of scares me. Oh, someone's giving us a shield. No, I gotta get out. I got all I need, nothing that I need. I got it. What'd you get? Good artifacts? Nice. Slay. Please, I'd be so happy if I carry, but at the moment... Nah, Miss Rainey, the way she's going... She's on her way to carry us. Oh. 2 5-star prayer! Good job, Miss Rainey. And Chippy, y'all did. Y'all slay. You guys are girl bossing. You know who I should build? A shield character. Oh shit. Oh shit. I should build up one of my shield characters. I have. Oh, can I use the artifact? Ray, are you guys doing the domain for what's it called? Kaya? I love you platonically. Love you platonically too. Because if you guys are doing the domain for Kaya, I could probably use those for Layla, maybe? Question mark. I'm on my way. Let me leave this world first. Co-op mode. Yes, ma'am. Slay. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am. I'm here. Oh, do I have to request? I have to request, I think. Friends. Request to join Slay. You have a carry, a somewhat carry, and then Miss Rainey. Or it's the other way around. You have a carry, and then it's Chippy, and then me. Hello. Let me join real quick. Come on. Hello. Where'd you go, Chippy? Come on. I'm gonna go kill my characters. Like one singular character. You know what's so sick? I can't even make condensed resin either because I'm out of the other guy. Gaining for condensed resin. Y'all gotta carry me. I've never played this game before. Really? I thought you guys were gonna carry me. Is Miss Rainey the only one that's doing the carrying? Miss Rainey, you're gonna have to carry us. I started playing like 2 months ago. Level 90, right? It's a friend's account. I'm sure, yeah. Yes, 90. I'm gonna test my Navia. Oh, doesn't she have a shield? Was Chippy the one who told you to do level 90? What is that? I could, you know who I should use? We might struggle. No, it's okay. I could use, who else can I use? I can use Sucrose. What did you say? We need Geo? No. I only do 90 for better. Oh, yeah. Can you use those? What is this? Electro? I don't have an Electro character. It's okay. We'll figure this out. Bennett? Oh, you want Bennett? I need the unready. My Bennett's not good for DPS though, so he's just healer. Huh? Yeah. He's healer Bennett. My Electro's weak. It's okay, I'll do healer Bennett, so we have some heals. If I die, it's okay. I'll stand and watch. What? What do you mean you'll stand and watch? I'm just gonna do this, you know. I don't want to use those. I'm scared this is on stream. That's okay. No one, this is a judgment-free zone, Miss Rainey. No one's gonna judge. Come here. Cheese. Can you take a picture? Cheese, please. No, it's okay, Miss Rainey. No one will judge you. Huh? I don't understand. Look, he's doing 166. At least his oh look, he's almost dead. He's doing his cute little 3 something. Oh no, I'm gonna be cold. I'm frostbitten. Guys, sorry. Oh, is it just those two? Well, that wasn't bad. Slay. Which way is this way? Hop, hop, hop. I was fighting for my life. Was I not healing enough? I'm sorry. I'll put more heals down next time. My heals have been lacking. It's just you have to wait like so many seconds to heal. I was cold. Aw. We need to like drag them onto like the warm platforms. That'll make it better. I thought this level 90 was gonna be harder though. Level 80 is low-key hard, like harder than level 90 because you're fighting so many more My Navia won't crit. RIP Navia. Is it because the wrong elemental reactions? All you're gonna be hearing is like keyboard and like clicking ASMR. This is our chance, girls. No! How'd your Xiangling die? No, man, I didn't have my heal down. Yes, carry me. What do you think this is? Raise? Stop focusing on the chat. Slay. I can type. Guys, what happened? Make sure they died. I saw that. Only did 143k. Is that bad? Were you supposed to do more? What's the highest you've gotten with your Navia, Chippy? And then there's me with my 20k, just like, hell yeah, 20k! More? You want to do more? We can do more if you want. Like 150k, her talents need work. I see her talents. Slay. Okay, yes ma'am. We can go till we don't have any more resin. I wish you can dash in this game. Me with hundreds, honestly, same. I'm here for heals. Bennett's so short. Bennett needs heals. I made more resin for this. Slay. She's like us. She's turning into one of us. Come on, Miss Rainey, see you and I. Look, you did 19, you did 2000. I'm cold. My package has been, oh, my package is downstairs. Guys, my books are downstairs. No, someone died. How'd you guys die? No, don't die. Guys. Why are we dying? I'm sorry, it's a KGB. We got this. Me and Miss Faye. Oh no. This might take some time, I'm not even gonna lie to you. No, Miss Rainey! Come on, let's focus on this guy. Like the small one. I feel like it'll be a lot easier once he's down. He has less health. Where'd he disappear to? Oh, behind him. Yeah! We got this. I'm gonna get frostbitten, but it's okay. I'll do this for the glory. He teleported! What the fuck? That's such a scam. I'm gonna switch to Raiden. Okay, you got this. Thank you, sir. Almost negative 30. Oh no! I'm gonna kill myself. Let's not do that. Are you still out here? Guess what? My book came in. Oh, the other guy died. My thing for my job broke and I'm an hour away from the shop. Oh no. So how do you go about that? Now I gotta drive back. Oh no. At least you're in the warm vehicle. Does the vehicle have heat? He did he did conditioning. Yay, look, yeah, it's the one you told me not to get. I just ended up getting. Although I probably have to get that now before it gets like wet. Make sure to drive safely, sir. OMG. Don't cry, little bird. You remember that one thing from Victorious where she was just like, "Don't cry, little bird. Don't cry." Oh, I need to show Bennett. Ray Ray McLeod? Who the fuck is Ray Ray McLeod? Party must have Switch. Pachamp, Pachamp. It's Miss Rainey. Hi, Miss Rainey. We stand Miss Rainey for clear skin. If you want to know why my skin is cleared up in like 2020, it's because we stood Miss Rainey. I killed Shenlu twice. It's okay. At least you brought her back to life. And that's all that matters. We stand. How much Rainey? We stand Miss Rainey. We stand Miss Rainey. We don't stand her actions, but we stand Miss Rainey as a character. She's a real cute character, and she's real pretty. And she got cool stompers. She's kind of short though. But we like our girly short. Okay, leave now. Bye, Haru. Stay safely. I'll talk to you soon. She's a men's society. Very much so. Very much so. Wait, give me 2 seconds. I need to go grab my thing outside. Don't start. Or do start. It's okay.
어디서 나온 거야? 주위를 찾아보자. 보물이 있을지도 몰라. 괜히 모험단 출발!
Y'all don't know the struggle it is to run downstairs. I almost fell. Oh my gosh, it's bouncy. Slow it down, make it bouncy. Down, make it bouncy.
어디서 나온 거야?
For the books? For the books. Period. If it was anything else, I probably would have left it because... Well, I got like an hour more. But for the books don't get left out there because someone better snatch that up. It was funny because I was telling her to tell me not to buy it or take away my credit card because I bought like $100 worth of books in 3 days. And it was, I said that I won't buy it at the moment, but if like in the morning it's still available, I'd buy it. And it's still available in the morning. So there's been oh, look at his 75. Oh no, his ult is not even there. Make it bounce. There's a fly. Y'all want a spicy. Oh no, Bennett! John and the spicy. One right now. Oh no! Come here, sir. Hitting the shield is kind of like hitting Deadlock shield in Valorant. Sir, are you just... Oh, he's watching us fight again. We're under criticism, Miss Rainey. We need to perform well. He's just giving us the evil electric eye and that's about it. Mesa, y'all can do it. Mesa, go ahead. It's for you guys. So go ahead. I've done my part. Hey, we slayed. We pulled through. You see me and Miss Rainey? We did half that thing last round. Us by ourselves. I forgot. I forgot to attack. Huh? It's like if you say, like, you see your friends, what? Did you leave, Miss Rainey? If you see your friends fighting, but you just forget to fight with your friends. I didn't see her. Fighting with low HP. I'm sorry, Ben is trying his hardest. Benny boy has been blessed with some bad luck. I'll hope if I see you losing, I see. You know, well, you know the thing is, me and Miss Rainey, we never lose. You see us, we ain't never losing. It's okay, we love Bennett. Her. Are we doing Kaya stickers? Wait, I'm looking for my Kaya sticker. There's only one Kaya sticker? Miss Rainey. Losing? What's that? Yeah, we ain't never losing. We don't ever lose. We stay. Oh, we stay winning. Oh, my toes are cold. Oh. Oh, I think this is 50-50. Oh, damn. Oh, that's the same. Where'd he go? No! Defect. Oh, we're walking. Why do you walk towards the end? I always thought Bennett's was so cute because like when he walks, his like it's like little pouch bounces. If it's jungling, the next thing I need kite. Oh no. It's okay. Who's the Heart of Depth good for? Chibi, do you know who the darker artifacts for this domain is good for? Because this is not a G. I mean, you could probably use it for GL. You Kaya that. RP Kaya. It's okay. You brought him back to life. Child? Just child? I don't have child. Child's forbidden in this household. If only from this domain for Ayaka. Oh, I've done this for Eula. I know this one is good for the ice characters. I've really had Eula, and then that's about it. Oh no, Chippy! Miss Rainey, come fight this one with me. We gotta get the short guys out first. Oh no. He just crazy. No! Be careful! My toes, stop touching me. Slay, we got this, Miss Rainey. We ain't never lose. Eula doesn't use this artifacts. Was it? I remember farming this for someone. I don't remember who it was. I felt like it was Eula though. I feel like it's okay. No, hesitate! Miss Rainey, I'm sorry, wait. It's okay, Chippy. We got this. We ain't never lose. We never will lose. We never have lose. Oh, where's the red one? There is no red one. We have to stay off of them. There's no red one, Miss Rainey. Yeah, bring him over here. No! Oh, the red one's over here. Let's fight him over here. Come on, bring him over here. Yeah, sir. Oh, he's moving. He's traveling. We got this, even though it's gonna take some time. We ain't never lose. We ever see Sweeney and I lose. It's gonna take a bit of time. You guys have any snacks? Any popcorn? Okay. Maybe some chips if you're not popcorn people. I know some people really like me. But popcorn it's not the cute. Oh no, oh no. To read that on my retirement, you're talking to a healer character, a support character, and level 80 barely built Miss Rainey. He's not giving us I'm gonna die. To get warm. It's okay. You'll be old, but oh, slay. No, 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 Miss Rainey. Are you holding a gun to me? I believe in Miss Rainey. Is there like... You reckon I should use, what's her name? I can't even go into my character screen. I use, What's Kokomi? Miss Rainey's fighting for her life. No! Oh wait! She's still in there. Miss Rainey! It's okay, we tried our hardest. You tried your hardest, Miss Rainey. You a real girl bossing out there. Oh shit, Bennett's supposed to die. Bennett! You did your bestest, baby cook. Did I use Kokomi? You think that'll be easier so I can like heal the characters? Or not heal, but like we can freeze the characters? And you still get healed? Elena? Who's that? It's okay, Miss Rainey, you carried us almost to victory. You tried your hardest. Oh, this dude? You know, I wanted his character. But didn't have the primos. Lynette's brother? Damn, she knows more than I do. I didn't have the primos. Oh, there's more? There's White the Sea. That's tough. That's how you can tell Miss Rainey's played the game more than I have. I'm still stuck in Sumeru. Keep that in mind. Playing on mobile, by the way. Yeah, he's built different. You and Miss Rainey both are on mobile. I'ma look at my Kokomi. Oh, I need to ascend Kokomi. Oh, I don't have enough to ascend. Oh no, this is not Kokomi. It's Field Rock. Oh yeah, I don't have enough to ascend Kokomi. I haven't been in Sumeru yet. Okay. I would have cried if you were. You guys want to go fight bosses? I need pearls. These pearls are hard to find. Sure. Oh, I didn't know if you guys actually wanted to go fight them. What bosses would we fight? Miss Rainey, do you want to lead the way, ma'am? Oh, really? I mean, I guess. Let's go fight this one. Do you have Hydro Hypostasis? Accuse my ult to struggle with y'all. Your ult! Do you want to? Miss Rainey, how much of Inazuma do you have unlocked? Do you have this part unlocked? Or... I don't know if Barbara needs that. Which one does Jean need? Yeah. Yeah, you have it unlocked? Say less, shoddy. The first class, I'm up in the world, so day and night. Can't do that is That's me. Oh, she's here. Hi. Where's Chippy? He's up there. Oh, I'm kind of stuck. Guys. We kind of started a fight, I'm not gonna lie to you. Slay. Just gonna grab those thingies, I pinned them. Which thingies? Oh, for Miss Jean? I have a lot. I don't think I see your pins, Miss Rainey. I only see my own pins. Look at all my pins. They need to allow you to make... You can see some of my pins. I can? The stars are electrocules. No, that's mine. Wait, you can see mine? Wait, really? Where's yours located? I can't, you know, the thing is, I can't notice yours because I have so many. What, really? For which one? I have so many pins, I can't tell which ones yours would be. I thought those are mine. No, those are all mine. You can't see others' pins. Ah, that's what I was thinking. Because I got some pins. Oh, no, that's what I was thinking. Which way is it this way? Because it got me confused for a second when we were playing. I'm just like, can I see your pins, Miss Rainy? But I also had mine's pinned. No, I'm going far. Help me! I get to look at it closely. No. Seeing other people's pins would be cool though. But I feel like it'd be stressful. Wait, where is it? Oh, here. Lead the way. It'd be stressful because if you could see all of mine's, you would be overwhelmed. That was the wrong one. Oh. Where'd you go? Oh, you can walk on water. Isn't that another character with the gun? Wait, guys. Yes, Miss Rainy. I forget my way here. It's okay. You got this. I'll jump to a high vantage point so you can see me. Here. Oh no, she's down there. Down here. Underwater. Miss Rainy, I think you're a bit too far. Oh, is she down there? No, she's not down here. Oh, I started the cube. Oh no, Chippy's got the cube. Close enough. You got this, Miss Rainy. Oh, it's moving. Don't you have to defeat the slimes or something? I haven't fought this bitch in a while. Oh, it disappeared. Come back. Bio-oceanic weapon. What? Did you get that one too, Chippy? Ray, did you get that one too? Water, basically. Slay. I was being chased by what? I should have used Ayaka. Slay. Why don't you switch to Ayaka? Do reputation. Alright. The enemy. It's okay. Do you know what we have to do? We have to teleport away and go back. How long do you have to wait for it to regenerate? I haven't fought these in a while. Was it a big enemy? Okay, yeah. Come on, Miss Rainy. Chippy knows what to do. Click the boss. Oh yeah! Let me check him out. Adventures Handbook. It tells you. Oh, on the map? It don't say nothing. Unless it only shows Miss Rainy, but it doesn't show me. I guess only Rainy can see them this well. Miss Rainy, can you go in your adventure's handbook and check how long it takes for it to regenerate? Please. Standing next to you. It should be back. Slay. Well, I guess by the time we find our way back, it'll be back. We struggled to find it last time. Well, I checked and it said 3. Hey! Come on, vamonos. Everybody, let's go. Come on, let's get to it. Oh. I know that we can do it. There's an Electrolocule nearby. Oh, no! Thank you. Y'all are so kind. Is it a... Hi, Miss Rainy. Standing next to you. Standing next to you. Dun, dun. What the hell? Chippy, are you stuck? Wait, I'm on my way. Oh. Slay. This is so cute. Oh. Oh. Where did health go? Hey. How many do I have for it? How many does she need? Easy, slay. I don't know how many Kokomi needs. Mommy. She needs 8. Okay, we need to fight it twice. Come on, girls. You know the drill. We need to fight it 2 more times. And then we can fight some bosses for Miss Girls. Yeah, it's universal term.
한참 가만히 있었잖아. 이제 움직이지 않으면 몸에서 풀이 자랄지도 몰라.
Yes, yes. See Miss Rainy agree. Wait, so Ray, which boss did you have to fight for Jean? We can plan out our plan. We can make our plan of attack.
너도 한가로움을 즐길 줄 몰랐어.
Is that looks like he's about to jump off a cliff? I forgot. Okay, we'll look after. Animal hypo? We can fight that one after. We'll take turns. I don't know if Chippy needs one. Are we free to go back, Miss Rainy? hilly trail. Yes, ma'am. Let's go. Silly Billy hilly trail. Let's see how much damage we can do. Oh, what's this way? Crystal Prism. Don't mind if I yes. You're too close to the boss. Oh, I am? Never mind. Oh, okay. Oh. They should make the co-op thingies more co-opable. Like there's a lot of things that they could have added that made it more make it more like not accessible for like everyone, but it makes it like better, like how you can see each other's like pins and stuff like that. Is this deep enough? Oh, she would have died. 17 right here. Oh, we were too close. Yep, we're too close. Oh man. Okay. We gotta go further. Oh yeah. I didn't know that was too close. Bum, 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 bum.
바람이 있었잖아.
Ooh, she's oh what?
거기서 풀이 자랄지도 몰라.
I love my team, I love my crew. What if they added emotes in Genshin? Tippy, are you too close? Sir? Imagine he goes to fight it without us. You know what, Mr. Rainey? I think we should go. We should let him. I wait for confirmation that it's safe to fight. Chippy, is it safe to fight? I think we should go check on him. Come on, Miss Rainey. Bum 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 bum. Ooh, we shake our way. Bum 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 bum. I love my team. I love my crew. Oh, which was it? This way. What's that? Bing, in the cheek, I wonder. Oh, her stamina does. It's dead. Yeah, I figured. We were just making sure we had enough time. We're on our way. I think it's easy because my world level's low. But isn't it level 80? Hey! I swear it's level 80 in your world still too. How you doing? It doesn't let me collect it. But how can Miss Rainey collect it? Is it because I didn't fight it?
이렇게 여유롭고 평화로운 시간이 더 많았다면 좋을 텐데. 전 욕심이
That's so sick. How come? Maybe it could be because I didn't fight it. What do you mean? I don't know.
전환이 있었죠.
It's not letting me collect it.
움직이지 않으면
I didn't find it either. Maybe it's because it's your world. See, look, it's not letting me collect. That's so sick. Okay. We need to do this as a team. You were able to collect it earlier, no? Yeah, but I fought it. I fought with you guys earlier. Team? What's that?
너도 한가로움을 즐길 줄
We'll try it this time, and if it's like a thing that we all have to fight it, then that would make a lot of sense. You invite? Oh, that one's cute. That's how I feel. Ray, let's go, boys. Okay, I thought you were gonna go fighting it. I was about to be like, sir, please. I'm gonna go test my theory. Come on, girls and guys. Up. Oh, I should collect. I need to. Are these it as well? Are these cherry blossoms? No, they're not cherry blossoms. I need to collect cherry blossoms. But that. Oh. Oh. That's for another situation. It won't let me through. There we go. Up, up, up. Oh. How'd you pass me, girl? Oh. What if it'll allow me to collect it this time? You know, it's okay. I didn't need it in the first place. You... Why don't we go fight for Miss Rainey stuff? Don't laugh at me. Don't call me names. It's okay. You're fine. You're fine. Where's animal hypostasis? I'll get to that on my own time. Oh, it's level 62. Honestly, one of these days, Miss Rainey, I'm gonna come into your world when, like, you're not even in here. And then I'm gonna fight your things for you. Or I'm gonna fight them for me too. For both of us. I can get them. Feel free. You can just like leave your phone on and then you'll just see me like running through your world getting all your stuff. Fighting all of your monsters. And your bosses and stuff. Yes, I don't constantly. That's gonna kill your phone battery. I'll just be there momentarily, be like, Miss Rainey, I need to borrow your world. Follow me? Oh. Jump, jump. Girls in the back. Slay. No way, after boss, I'll show you. Okay. 기다리치사.
성격
Beth? We stand Beth.
이건 어쩌겠니?
Beth is just misunderstood. Had anyone ever asked Beth? Oh no! I can't give you some. Had anyone ever asked Beth how, like, she was feeling? She was just misunderstood.
얼어붙어라.
Slay. I have enough resin. Should I? Let's do it. Upping on the drum. I could use it for Sayu or someone. Oh no. Oh, you got it already. I'm about out of stamina, I'm not gonna lie to you. This is kind of like a sauna. Just yes, I see. No, why you sad face? You wanna go back to the water hypostasis? What if, is there a limited amount of times we could fight it in a day? Is that a thing in this game?
얌전히 있어.
You know, while you guys go, what is it? Fraternize with whatever. I'm gonna go test my strength. I'm gonna do a single character showcase. Where is it? This way. Oh no, it's the wrong way. It's this way. Yep, but yeah. I don't know how well this will go, but it's gonna go. I hope. I need a heal. And then use the buffs afterwards. I need to be air 50 before ascending Kai to final level. Oh, it's 50? I think, yeah. What air level are you at, Miss Rainey? I feel like you're like 30 something. Or like 40. 45. I knew it. You know what's so cool that you should try? Because you know how you have to do the Ascension quest? Don't do the Ascension quest for like a while. And then save up a bunch of like XP. And then do the Ascension quest. And then see how it like and then see how much it like goes up. I feel like I love always doing that because I always thought it was cool. Oh. Oh. No. No. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it for a while. I want to get my artifacts. Slay. Did you get a decent amount of artifacts today? Oh, you didn't like look yet? Slay. No! Slay. See? It lets me do it now. I think it only lets me do it if I actually like fought to defeat the boss. It's so sick. Genshin made the Ascension quest a lot easier. Actually? Are they happy? That's good. I'm glad. Thanks to both of y'all. You're welcome, Miss Rainy. Although you and Chippy carried, so I don't know, man. They removed the electric cube at the end. Not for me though. That's so.
현아 한잔 하러 갈래?
We know. Miss Rainy sent me a message? Oh, she did.
도검은 영장이 자신의 작품을 아끼는 것처럼 그 공예를 중시하죠.
The second time I had to rip.
해가 뜨면
Up there was child.
달이 뜨면 달이 쬐고 가자.
How has it been? You think it's ready, Chippy? You think it's ready, bestie?
이렇게 여유롭게
My phone is at 16. Oh no!
있다면 좋을 텐데.
Oh no! We got about. How many more fights you have in you? Stressed. How do I map? I don't know how you guys do it. I could never play on my phone. We got this. We got this, team. Go team. Wait for me. I can't run in the water. Miss Rainey's just stuck. We're just running around. Hop, 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 hop. Oh, were we not far enough? I swear we were far enough. We were far enough the first time. I feel like we've been scammed out of our money, Chippy. Do we have to go even farther? Maybe I know something about artifacts. That's okay, Miss Rainey. I just thought it was funny. BRB, yes sir. Boochie patchy. Boochie patchy. Boochie patchy, yeah. Patchy, yeah. I'm gonna traverse over to Miss. Oh, hello, Miss Rainey. I don't know if we were too. Oh, she's frozen.
이게 여행자님의 일상생활이군요. 당신에 대해 조금 더
Miss Rainey, you're frozen. Are we far enough, Miss Rainey? Is this say we gotta restart? I am bot. You're robot. Kaya's so tall. Let me see. Shamp, why are we pausing? What happened? Be hit by a certain animal created by the I see. I thought we were far enough last time, but it did say. I thought we were more. He don't know. Booty punch. Electro Res is fine. Be Signora. I might just go around beating all of these bosses. Party character, events character. Layla, was it? I don't know who Layla's good for though. Or what team she'd be good in. Chipachi, yeah. I'll follow you every go. Is the boss finished? Will we far enough for the boss to reset? You and I could go try fight it without Chippy. I want to bring you back though, and it's not resetted yet. I wish the characters would look up to each other. Okay, we go check. If not, then it's okay. This way, this way. Oh, chip, hot chip. Kai looks down. He does? I don't see him looking down on my screen. It's unfair. I know Zhongli looks down. I always found it cute when the taller characters will look down on the shorter characters. Oops, what happened? It's here. What she do, Miss Lady? I've eaten about 4 of these. Kinda drowned. Oh no. The guy is drowning. What did you do to him? Why'd you drown your favorite guy? What'd he do to deserve this type of treatment? Oh, you can use these healings for yourself? Hi, Miss Rainy. Oh, my legs! Could have died. Oh, chip, patchy, oh, chip, patchy, yeah. I need to heal. Oh, why is it near me? Slay. Look at this. And then we gotta defeat these guys. Look at you go, Miss Rainy. Slay. Okay, that's actually I needed the pearls. I don't know where the pearls are located though. That's gonna probably have to be something I do by myself. It's gonna be like a little journey. Look at her. I mean, we could go running around for... That's like 22 pearls. What pearls? These pearls. Found on Watasumi Island. Shouldn't it say we can get it? The thing is, it doesn't say in the game. It just says like the general like area. But it doesn't show you like specifically. I wish it showed you specifically. So that we're not just like running around. Hold on, let me see. Yes, ma'am. If not, then we're just gonna have to go on like an adventure. Hydrate? Oh my gosh. Hi, Yus. Hi there, sir. Yes, ma'am. Hello, sir. How are you? Have you been? We're Genshining right now. Weird, right? I should hydrate more. I have a headache. I checked the interactive map. What does this say, Miss Rainey? What is it giving? And it says there's some around Shigetsu Pool. Shigetsu Pool. Alright. Let's go to Shigetsu Pool, Miss Rainey. Although we'd have to go back outside.
기사단 전우들은 몹시 바쁘잖아.
I feel like this would be the easiest. Instead of like all the way around there. We can ice bridge. Wait, have you been Genshining? Charger acquired. Hello. Welcome back, Chippy. We're going on the hunt for pearls now. Where is Shigetsu Pool? This way. Pearls over here. Pearls over where? Oh, Miss Rainey, come on, we follow Chippy. He knows better than us. Stop playing You stop playing Genshin. Why? Oh, hi Chippy. Did you just get like bored of the game? They gave you more pins? Slay. How far down is he? Yeah, kinda got bored. Ah. What games are you playing these days? Do you play Honkai Star Rail? Just hop down. Oh, I see him. Is that him? Oh yeah, it is. Slay, was that 5? We need 25 more to go. I don't. Oh. So what other games are you playing? This one here. Cute. We don't have the luxury of walking on water. Wanted to give it a try, but I think I'm done with gacha games. Ah. You finally threw in the towel for gacha games? Honestly, that might be smart. Underwater, by the way? Underwater? There's pearls under- Oh! Are you more into like shooter games now? Or are you doing like more, I would say more productive things? Are you like a reader girly? Have you developed a hobby? We can't walk on water, that's so sad. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. I play other MMORPGs? MMORPGs? You play Final Fantasy? Is Final Fantasy even a... You play Baldur's Gate? If those are not, then you could probably tell that I don't know the exact definition of MMORPGs. Why are you hiding in the grass? How do you know the exact route for them, Chippy? There's a lot out there. What are like your top 3?
성격도 참 급해.
If you can like recommend someone who's like getting into MMORPGs. Oh no, she drowned it! No! Wait, I can't walk on water. We're going. Let me see how much more we need. Oh, we need 2 more. No. What is it? 2. I haven't opened it yet. I haven't opened there? Like nearer to land, Miss Rainey? Wait. Like, there's one up here. I know there's like some like it's the quest thingy. Oh. Are there like some of you want to try near the place you said before, Ray? Like that lake thingy? Cause they're normally near water. We already went here, didn't we? Yeah. Isn't up here? I think we need this one there. You know what would have been smart if I opened like an interactive map, but I feel like that loses the fun in the game. Are these? Have we collected these? Is this where we started? Oh no, I found some. I got interactive map for my ores. Which ores are you collecting? I can level up Kokomi. I'm scared. Insufficient. Insufficient. Can I? That only gets me 3. I'm scared to see how many pros we need for like all those guys. We need for like in Dragonspine. Oh, which one's in Oh, like the is it those silver thingamajiggers? I think I know which one you're talking about. I remember having to collect those and I struggled so much because yeah. I struggled so much because I what's it called? I couldn't find any. And I went like I really remember I can't collect stuff here. I went like all over the world. It was for the quest. I know the exact quest you're talking about. Cause it took me ages to finish. Isn't it for the one where like isn't it a part of where you had to defeat like we had to defeat the 3 what is it called? The 3 ice thingies? We had to melt them? What is it? Yeah. Oh, here they are. Oh. Yeah, that one's kind of tough. Come down here, please. This is not a fair fight. Oh, Miss Rainey, how'd you get here so fast? Thank you. We're gonna be fighting some of these because I need spectorial hearts. I did not know you're following me. I zoomed in. I just saw you and Chibi were running around. And I was struggling and all I see is a lovely Kaya come to my rescue. I was like, oh my gosh, my savior. Six, two, one, two, your ult? Okay. Slay. Do I have your ult, Chippy? Slay. How much more do I need? Character. Here, call me. Ascend. We've only had 3. Oh, we can craft let's go fight some more and then craft them. Make sure I have Chippy's ult. You had to swim, but I can run. Yeah, cause you're taller. Height matters, Ray. You can't keep talking about our height like that. Baby, I thought we talked about this. Slay, look at you go, girl. Oh, it's over here. Yeah, run. At least I'm the taller in game. Oh, don't speak to me like that. I'll take one of my tallest characters. I'll get my tallest character out there and then beat you. I'll pull out Zhongli. Pretty sure Zhongli's taller than Kaya. I want coffee. You know what's so sad? I bought a Monster, but now I want coffee. Paship. I love that one. It was probably my favorite. I see him. Let me go from this side so I don't... Do you think it's good to have coffee and Monster within the same day? Or is it just asking for like a heart attack? Jeff asking for it. I mean, hey, I've done it once before and I'm still alive. Where's the other one? I can't. I swear, I can't reach. Immune? Immune to water, but then no immune to fire. I'm just too short for this. I Mr. Ray. How you always drowning? Oh, she's back. That's so quick. Miss Rainey, think you can make a nice... Oh, you're unlocking the thing! I love unlocking these things. Huh? It's okay. I'll let you fight it. Or unless it comes here, Slay. Because I was too short. And when we're in the water, I rely on your ice bridges. I need to build Toma. I'm gonna charge my phone. Okie dokie. Bye. My bad. No, it's okay, miss. It's a-okay. I think it's fun. It's funny. It's so hilarious. Thank you for the game, Chippy. Thank you for helping, Chippy. You were a key role in our success. Without you, we would have been dead. No cap. Oh no! I hope his stuff doesn't fall off the edge. Oh! Come here, sir. I got your friend's egg. Oh no, sir! Stop it! I can't even use your ice bridges because I just melt them. I will melt them. I'll just fight them.
이 순간을 영원하게 만들어주지.
Just like I thought your character died. That would have been so funny if it did. Okay. Oh, there's another one to fight. Where's? Oh, it's down here. I see him. Oh! Oh, I have Bennett. Slay. I'm alive and well. I'm not.
얌전히 있어.
Hutel took a rough fall. It's okay, we're glad to hear Kai's alive. Oh. Can I climb up these walls?
이건 어때?
You got this, Miss Rainey. Go, Miss Rainey. Go. You gotta use your ice. I hate this game. It's okay. It's a-okay. At least it's following you down. I get like a bow character. It's funny. It's funny when I see it on stream. Yeah. Especially because like you lag. So your thing is like behind. Oh, went back up. It's right behind you, right? It's okay. Yeah. He just... It's hilarious because like you freeze. I'm gonna go to mod stat to craft, see if I have enough. It's because like your character like freezes and then you jump. Oh my goodness. I swear things are always just funnier when you least expect them. I hope I have enough. If not, then I'll probably save it for another time because I need to go do my readings before disregard them entirely. Is it these thingies? No, it's these thingies. These ones. Like, I don't find it funny, but when I watch myself, it's more funnier. Yeah. That's just how things work, man. Like, they're not supposed to be funny. But then when you see it, like, from a different perspective, you're, like, dying of laughter. Chippy, hydrate. Yes, sir. Oh, and you want more? Dolly clipped her eyes, like, stop. I'm gonna choke on my water. Or when you do it with when you're playing the game with friends, like by yourself you just be like, oh my gosh. With friends, you're like fucking, you can't breathe. Like, you had tears in my eyes. I was crying, girl. We can ascend her. Yay! Thank you guys for helping me do this. It's just, it means so much. Now I can find. Ew, this looks weird. Sorry. I'm sorry, but kind of looks. It's like, what was he flying into? Like, where was he going? What motive did he have behind all of that? Okay, Miss Rainey. Thank you for your help and for your hospitality. I'm gonna go head out now and I'm gonna go eat and do my homework. Thank you. Why are you walking away from him? Damn. I guess, see, that's how it is, I guess. Thank you, 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 thank you. It was fun. I had a good laugh. A good laugh towards the end. It was a fun game, actually. It was! It was so exciting. I'm lagging, shush. Damn, you hated me that much. I see how it is. It's okay, Miss Rainey. I don't blame you. I'd walk away from myself if I ever saw myself. Yeah, we're gonna stay in front of Child's house because it's actually, no, that'll be betraying Toma. We'll go near the tree. Oh goodness, my hiccups. Are you back? Hi, back. It's nice to meet you. Nice goes, me. Are you like back from like work back or back from like your? What type of back are we talking about? Type of back? You called me literally. I was just about to like that. Because I need to eat and shower and do my work and all of the above. Why is Toma like that? This is me looking at you guys' room. Back from service call, I go home in 20 minutes. Oh my gosh, really? You do? Wow. How was the real call? This is me asking you guys for chicken nuggets. Can I have some chicken nuggets, please, sir? And the McChicken sandwich. He's a fine boy. He's so smexy. He's the definition of a house husband, that's for sure. Remember when everyone was like down bad for him because he was like the perfect like housewife? I should have went to college. I mean, it's never too late. We saw some stuff, we save up, and then we send you off to school. Didn't you say you did go to college though? Or like you like got your degree? Now I want chicken nuggets. I can make some extra for you. If you want more, I can make you some. Or I got frozen chicken nuggets though. I know some people. Oh, I know some people might not be a fan of frozen chicken nuggets. That's all I got, really. But we can go to McDonald's. Oh. And you see, I wanted to do all of this. Oh? One day. No. Ray, these are the things, like, this is the thing you do to get, you know, like the floating little thing beside you? This is what you do to get them. See, I have this one. We can only get one of them. I did not know. I feel like I can't do that. Oh yeah, I go. You did? Did you have it equipped? It's an easy event. How long do you think it's gonna take? Because I will grind it tonight. I got the one where I can follow in water. Oh, that's so cute. I'll start it after I do my readings. But I wanted to read tonight. Maybe I should download Genshin on my phone and do it while I'm laying in bed or something. But I already have one. It's 1 day in 12 hours. I'll figure that out. I'm gonna leave my chill Genshin gaming? Yeah, like in bed Genshin gaming. I'm just gonna leave my character here so I remember. You'll probably see me on Genshin tonight. Anyways, this is a change of scenery. Thank you guys for stopping by. It's always good to chat with you all and to chill and to run around, have some fun. Thank you, Chippy and Ray, for playing with me and for assisting me in these domains. Thank you, Miss Rainy. Next stream is going to be next Friday. Around like the earlier time, like 11 o'clock, like 10, 11 o'clock. Have a good afternoon. Thank you. I got some soup, so I'm about to smash some soup. I'm still cold, surprisingly. Thanks, okay. Thank you, Chippy. Thank you, Chippy, for assisting. Even though Miss Rainy and I really put in some work. I ain't gonna lie to you. The game we're gonna play, maybe a shooter game, cause you know I'm addicted to shooter games. But yes, you guys take care of yourselves. Have fun. Do something that makes you happy. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye. Listen to Baggy Jeans. Enjoy Baggy Jeans. You love NCT.